If you look at what you have in life, you will always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you will never have enough. Oprah Winfrey. So first of all, this is again a classic construction, a two-part construction. The first part is about the things you have in life, and the second part is about the things you don't have in life, and then there is an obvious consequence connected to it. So basically implying a causation. If you look at what you have in life, you will always have more. So this is basically what follows out of this. And then the second part is, if you look at this other thing, then this other thing follows. What Oprah Winfrey kind of implies is obviously this. Looking at what you already have is kind of implying gratitude, is kind of implying that you already are not confident, but kind of satiated in terms of how many more things you want to get. But when it comes to how much this is actually true, also in terms of psychology, I wouldn't fully put my kind of signature under this quote, even if this phrase maybe doesn't exist in English. But the thing is, this is actually not really true. It's only partially true, I would say. Because these two things she just mentioned are two kind of systems, also biological systems. The one is the serotonin system and the other one is the dopamine system. Obviously, this is kind of simplified, and I'm also not a neuroscientist or a biologist, but the thing is this. Looking at what you already have in life is kind of something that is directly caused by a higher level of serotonin. So therefore, for example, if you eat carbs, then this kind of, for one, rewards you with dopamine, but dopamine is basically the hormone that gets you hyped up for something. That's the anticipation. And the moment you get it, it's basically gone. Not really gone, but it's not like, oh yeah, I get this thing and then get a dopamine release. You probably heard of dopamine already because, well, it's when it comes to The Social Dilemma, this movie, for example, it's kind of there. The more and more we interact with these apps that are kind of designed as slot machines and also as a way to just also make money, but also to make us addicted, and also, therefore, they are obviously using the best psychological principles that are available. But let's get back to this. These two separate sentences Oprah Winfrey says here, or states here, these are basically the two different systems. Looking at what you have in life is the serotonin system. It's basically, what I just explained. And the other one, what you don't have in life, is basically the dopamine system. What you don't have in life, but actually anticipating the journey of wanting more. And this wanting more is kind of something that is kind of necessary. When it comes to evolution, think about it. Think about it like 10,000 years ago. Somebody who already was like, oh yeah, I already have the food here and it will last me for a few days. That's nice. But think about the other person that compared to this person is like, oh yeah, I mean, obviously I have a few things, but there are also a lot of things I don't have, like food for the next week. And this person probably had a higher chance of surviving. Therefore, this person has a higher chance of passing on their genes to the next generation and then to the next and next and next. And therefore, we are not the predecessors. We are basically the result of this evolution process of sorting out these people who just did look at what you have in life all the time. And this is also why humans are so kind of driven and also want to do more all the time. I mean, again, this is very simplified, and if I saw someone else or listened to someone else who talked like this, then I would be like, oh yeah, this person doesn't even logically talk, but talking logically is something that's very complicated. And if you also want to, at the same time, also make it kind of accessible, then it becomes already pretty difficult, which is something I realized when I tried to record the first videos like these. So therefore, Oprah Winfrey is kind of right, but I wouldn't say she's 100% right, because obviously this is also just truism. These are also just truisms. Nobody is 100% false and nobody is 100% right. Therefore, saying something like, oh yeah, this is partially right, is kind of a truism. It's always something you can say. Therefore, also, just take a look at politicians. They also apart from Oprah Winfrey. I mean, apart from this quote, this is just an additional note, which was a rhyme, but nevertheless, let's go on. Politicians have to play two emotions, and if they do this, then how can you do this? Obviously, this is the big questions, because the emotional part is much more responsible for our elections. For example, there are studies out there who say that for two-thirds, the election results are basically predicted by the attractiveness or the level of attractiveness of the person that's on the poster. Now, this is just something else, and therefore we will finally conclude. We have these two different systems. Obviously, this is just one approach. I could also have taken a completely different lens and then analyzed the quote, but there are limitations to what I can say in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and therefore we will end this. It's something that kind of makes sense as a quote, maybe, but it's something I wouldn't necessarily put on my fridge, because it's something that's not really true. There are other quotes that are far better, because they actually capture the reality of human living far better, and therefore this is not that good, I would guess.